I'm Phil Cummins, the son of New Australians. I was born and educated in Sydney. I began teaching history and Latin over 30 years ago, and since then I've worked in and with schools travelling the world as a leader, colleague, and a professor of education and enterprise. I've done quite a few other things as well. I've been a father to 3 children. I've worked for my local church and its community. I've served my country as a soldier. I've written a lot of books and articles, all up millions of words in history and education, particularly about the strategy, leadership, governance, and culture that help to describe an authentic vision for learning and make real its power to transform the lives of students, their families, and teachers through sustainable performance in schools. I love telling a story and finding the structure behind the narrative. I love working out where voice and agency lie in human affairs, as well as those that lie beyond. And of course, I love thinking about the reasons why. I'm an optimist, so I believe that stories should end well, although there's always more than a fair amount of wrestling with challenge and disappointment to be experienced. I believe that a positive attitude, an inclination to see the best in others, a willingness to work very hard, and the playfulness and wit to adapt what's at hand with what life throws up are essential. In 2010, I established Circle, the Centre for Innovation, Research, Creativity and Leadership in Education, because I thought there needed to be a bridge between the theoretical world of educational academia and government reports and the practical world of schools, where students, teachers, administrators and families work at the chalk face, helping to prepare young people to thrive in their world using the patient and incremental process of improvement that works best in schools. Since then, and after a decade of engaging with and supporting hundreds of thousands of people in school communities, we've decided that it's time to take what we've learned from our global research and consulting work and make it accessible to schools all over the world. So these days, along with my other roles, I'm now the managing partner of A School for Tomorrow, a global network that supports students, teachers, leaders and school teams to thrive in a new world environment. And together with Adriano De Prato, I host the Game Changers podcast, a public education project dedicated to showcasing the inspiring work of educators around the world who are the true pioneers, leading the way towards that simple proposition that the whole work of a school should equip, empower, and enable young people with the character, competency, and wellness they need to thrive in their world. So, having shared with you some of my story, I'd like to talk with you about what we've learned that might help you with shaping the direction that your story and the stories of your students and schools might take. Everything you're about to hear from me is meant for you. It's drawn from the deep reserves of passion and insight that come from our team of diligent professionals. We've assembled a unique, evidence-based and research-driven knowledge architecture to share with you and learning communities all over the world. And we've created a range of programs all designed to help students, teachers, leaders and school teams to add to their stories and the stories of those in their care through what we call A School for Tomorrow. If we're going to rise to the oft-heard but seldomly understood challenge of 21st century education, what we do in schools must go beyond the transmission of content. We must do what we can to support the transformation of people from who they are now to who they might become. Education must be more than drilling and skilling in the doing of things to prepare students for the next round of doing things. We need to help the young people in our care to connect with something that goes beyond their own emotional, intellectual, and physical selves. We need to show them that a journey of exploration and discovery in which they encounter self-awareness, relationship, service, and vocation takes them beyond self-interest towards selflessness. The key assumption that underpins this is that a life of giving to others is transformative for our students because it's grounded in the genuine meaningfulness that equips, empowers, and enables them for a life of purpose. What will make the difference in the lives of our students? What will help them create lives that are worthwhile and well lived? It's all about a life of purpose. Discovering what their purpose might be and how they might learn, live, lead, and work in pursuit of it requires them to embark on a personal journey of discovery that we call the pathway to excellence. On this journey, we ask and answer fundamental questions. Who am I? Where do I fit in? How can I best serve others? What is my calling? On this journey of exploration, discovery, and encounter, we come to know ourselves, earn our place, go on a journey from me to you to us, and find our calling. Along the way, we build the adaptive expertise and self-efficacy to learn, to live, to lead, and to work well. We learn from others, learn with others, do it ourselves, and share what we have learned. This helps each of us to belong, to achieve our potential, and to do what is good and right in our lives. In doing so, we grow in the character, competencies, and wellness we need to thrive in our world as good people, future builders, continuous learners and unlearners, solution architects, responsible citizens, and team creators. These can become the graduate outcomes of thriving that can act as the foundation for the framework of education in a school for tomorrow. This framework begins with a preamble. This preamble contains a rationale linked to the school's understanding of its traditions and history, culture, mission, and aspirations for learning, and the school's social purpose. This is followed by a graduate profile, a description of the desirable outcomes for graduates that capture the character, competencies, and wellness required to thrive in their world that will then direct the rest of the educational framework. These outcomes will be worked into a scope and sequence of teaching objectives and desirable learner behaviours. These are embedded in the teaching and learning experiences of the school, and a series of exemplars are developed that will in turn guide other documents that will inform pedagogical practice, staff development, and community engagement. This whole of learning approach creates the capacity to design and deliver authentically personalised, aligned, and integrated 21st century educational programs whose value proposition and content are constructed from an educational DNA driven by our understanding of how human beings grow and develop through and with purpose. It's all about creating consistent culture by making the way we do things here clear and demonstrable in our vocabulary and the achievement of our vision through our shared voice and agency. It's about how our purpose becomes our practice. Learning programs need to be human-centred. Grounded in wellness by design, they should be based on the self-determined, self-paced, and continuous learning of students within communities of inquiry and practice. In these communities, they should be inspired, supported, and challenged to grow in the self-awareness, relationships, service, and vocation required to make progress and achieve success in their chosen fields and, in turn, give back to their communities. Thus, an education for character, competency, and wellness should be the result of a designed landscape of learning that flows from the heart of a school's ethos into every place of learning. It's too important to be anything else, especially when we consider that it occurs in everything we do in schools. We don't do it for 40 minutes a week or 2 weeks a year. We do it all the time. So how might we teach for a purpose-driven life? At the core of a range of pedagogies for an education for character, competency, and wellness lies a model for character apprenticeship. This purposeful and designed relationship guides the natural developmental progression from being a novice who learns to articulate, reflect, and explore to being an expert who models, scaffolds, and coaches this expertise for other novices. Voice and agency shift from the expert to the novice as they grow in adaptive expertise and self-efficacy, and then take on responsibility for passing these on to new groups of novices. To grow on the pathway to excellence, students don't need to be perfect or even exceptional. They need to be committed to growth and to being the best version of themselves that they can be. They need to know what they're learning. That's aspiration. They need to go on a journey of discovery, encounter, challenge, and connection. That's experience. They need to collaborate with their teachers, mentors, and experts as the co-authors of their learning journey. That's agency. They need to discover their own identity and how best to express it. That's voice. And they need to be provided with the time, support, and conditions that will help them to make the most of their learning, to make progress and achieve success. That's resource. How might we assess our students' progress on the pathway to excellence? How will we know that they're building capacity to lead a purpose-driven life? Assessment of character, competency, and wellness should be seen first as a series of opportunities for our students to measure and warrant their best contributions in a way that allows them to demonstrate and claim their purpose as the most compelling reason for their story. Secondly, as we think about where our students are on their journey, we can also help them to measure their ongoing formation relative to where they are in their journey. All around the world, schools aspire to educate their students from the normal self-centeredness of a child, or me, to the peer focus of the adolescent, or you, to the ideal of selflessness of the adult, or us. The age, stage, and development of children is very important in the assessment of competency, wellness, outcomes, and character. We should concentrate on different things at different times, therefore, we don't have to measure everything at once. Finally, we'll need to help them to understand how and why their stories can move from yesterday to today to tomorrow by testing the achievement of their purpose within their practice and vice versa relative to graduate outcomes and the qualifications that will flow from these. The record of both formative and summative assessment is, therefore, like the stamps in an educational passport for a life of learning. It provides an account of where a student has been and where a student is going. It should be, therefore, less about barriers to entry for some and more about signifying achievement of milestones on the pathway to excellence that are available for all. Improvement in character and competency is likely to be incremental and will rarely move in a straight line. We also need to acknowledge that the capacity of students to progressively convert their potential character and competency into performance is directly connected to their wellness. How well students are is so very important to how they live their lives and who they are becoming. So their wellness should be assessed first in terms of their own perception of their health: physical, psychological, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual, and the satisfaction with the life they're leading and the sense of purpose and connectedness they have. Finally, what might we say to our students? How might we invite them to travel with us in search of a purpose-driven life? Well, life is an adventure. What will be your direction? Where will you go? Who will you take with you? What do you need to support you on the way? How fast will you go? Where will you stop off on the way? How will you know when you get there? What will you decide? Why will you do all of this? The choices are yours to make. You have so many opportunities to make the most of your time here on earth. There's a lot of ground to cover. There'll be hills and valleys, deserts and fertile plains, salt water and fresh water. You can achieve so much wherever you are if you have a compelling reason, a good plan, and the right attitude to make it all happen. We want you to come to know yourself, to earn your place, to go from me to you to us, and to find your calling. We want you to grow in your expertise in relationship with others and to put your gifts and talents to their best use in our ever-changing world. We want you to learn from others, learn with others, do it yourself, and then share what you have learned. We want you to adopt a set of values that will hold you true to your course and select the right tools to tell your story of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We want you to have people who love and value you and a place that feels like home. You'll also need a map to chart your way and some money in your pocket. We want you to aspire to great things and to locate that unique voice that enables you to express who you are and who you're becoming with confidence. We want you to grow strong and compassionate in your agency and secure in your identity. We want you to learn to use the resources at your disposal wisely and to be well on every stage of your journey. We want you to develop the character, competency, and wellness to thrive in your world. We want you to feel as though you belong, that you're fulfilling your potential, and that you're doing good and right in the world. We want you to be able to tell your story of how you built the future by learning and unlearning what you needed, of how you designed solutions and created teams, of how you became a good person and a responsible citizen. We don't want you to be alone as you travel. We want you to feel as though there's always a community with the right people to support, challenge, and inspire you to become the person you need to be. We want you to have all of the right information you need to make better choices, to learn, to live, to lead, and to work. We want to come with you on your journey of discovery. We want you to come on the pathway to excellence with us. And we want you to enjoy your journey and claim your sense of purpose in the world. So let's go.